What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Deke Stanfield in the building, man. Fresh Perspectives on. Fresh Perspectives on, man. What's going on? I'm live again, this time in the evening. It's been a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. I wanted to go ahead and have a conversation on tonight. Short conversation, nothing too shabby, nothing too long. I'm gonna give everybody a little bit of time to hop into the comment section, hop into the views, man. Shout out to the Fresh Perspective family. Shout out to the Rise Up family, man. Shout out to the Ignorant Thinker family. My boy Dennis Holmes, Urban Hawkins, Courtney Denzel Chappelle, DeMarcus Burtz, Andre the Torch Robinson, Bo 2.0 for Laren, Amir Ice Drake, man. What's going on, family? Cousin Kier Anderson, everybody over at the Rise Up family, Andre the Torch Robinson, City Councilman Mookie Hawkins, Will LaBombard, William Richter. I guess you can call him the Century family, if you will, or the Classic family, Vintage Rise Up family, if you will. Shout out to everybody, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is D. Stanfield, the professional from Fresh Perspective, man. I wanted to jump online tonight to have a conversation around everything that's going on in the sports world on tonight. There's been a ton of commotion popping off in the sports world, and I didn't want to let the day go by without at least having a conversation around those things. I'm giving everybody just a few more minutes to jump into the comment section. I know this was another unplanned event, but I said I was going to try to be a little bit more consistent with jumping online and having these conversations around sports in particular. Nothing else. Just to keep my stress levels down. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Most of you know me. I used to have another show that we discuss current events, but we're gonna keep things sports around here for at least for the time being. So thank everybody for tuning in. Again, this is D. Stanfield, the professional, Fresh Perspective Zone. We're gonna have a good conversation tonight. Great conversation tonight. I know most of y'all saw the intro, the thumbnail, having a conversation particularly around the sports world, but I want to have a special focus around the Hall of Fame and all the conversation going around about that. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and get started with that conversation. But before I get started, I do have a special guest on this evening. Most of you all know my special guest. He kind of needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. He hails from El Paso, Texas. He is unfortunately, disgruntledly, and disappointingly a Dallas Cowboys fan. Decorated veteran. Thank him for his service all the time, especially when he serves me up free alcohol bottles, peach bourbon, and Basil Hayden. I want y'all to give a special welcome to my guy, Marcus the Alphabets, man. Round of applause to my guy, man. What's going on, Marcus?
What's good, man? You got to throw some salt in the wound, huh? You got to throw some salt in the wound. You got to do that.
Man,
That's what we do.
I pride myself on giving immaculate, truthful, and in-depth introductions to my guests, man. So I just wanted to shout you out in the manner in which you deserve to be shouted out, man. So kudos to you, man. Thank you for joining me on this evening for this conversation tonight, man.
Passive aggressive. I
think it's only right that I'm sipping coffee, even at 9:30 at night, since you missed the coffee talk.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Man, speaking of sipping coffee, man, as you know, I'm not drinking these days, so it's been a it's been a journey.
That's what's up.
I'm not an alcoholic, but I'm 3 weeks sober.
Hey, Hey, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, man. The
That's
journey of a
right,
thousand
man.
miles begins with one step. So it's
That's
all
right.
good.
That's right, man. Again, I wanted to shout out the entire family that we come from, Rise Up Family, Fresh Perspective Family, Ignorant Thinker Podcast, and those people that uh, have been along with us throughout the journey. So if you are watching this show right now, please like and share the show um, as we get into this conversation. I want to say this. This conversation was actually sparked by a conversation we were having 2 nights ago, and it kind of went into last night. We were thinking about getting online last night. Some things came up, uh, so we just decided to go ahead and jump into it tonight. So, what I can't promise you is I can't promise you that the conversation is going to be as heated as it was uh, the other night, but I will promise you that we uh, we gonna get it cracking tonight, man. Shout out to Melissa. Thank you for joining us on this evening, man. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Again, this is D Stanford, the professional, joined by Marcus, the Alphabets, decorated Dallas Cowboy fan and U.S. Army veteran, man. So let's jump into this conversation, Marcus. We wanted to have a conversation around what is a Hall of Famer. What is a Hall of Famer, man? And I think that this conversation is risen. It's risen up again because of what many people have viewed as a snub of what happened to Bill Belichick on this evening. But as we know, there's been quite a few snubs over the years, but some a lot more disrespectful than others. I think you would agree with me on that, right? And
Oh,
so,
no doubt, no doubt. And don't forget Eli Manning, because this was kind of in the same like 24 hours. Eli Manning too.
yeah, and I kind of wanted to. So I wanted to have the conversation because we started out with the conversation around Bill Belichick, and I think that everybody would agree that Bill Belichick not being voted in as a first ballot Hall of Famer is a little bit more than a snub. It's borderline and blatantly. It's not even borderline. It's blatantly disrespectful. You're talking about from a Super Bowl standpoint alone, the winningest coach in NFL history. Wins and losses, strategy. I mean, he was so great. He was even great at cheating. So
Are you great at cheating if you get caught? Are you great at cheating if you get caught?
so here's the thing. He didn't actually get caught. He got snitched on by his own internal
Okay.
individual. That was remember that came from as a result of espionage from his own disciple. Uh, I won't mention coach's name, but he knows who he is. You know, when you become the beneficiary of elite tactics, as I like to call it, and then you decide to rat a person out because you don't get a W against that same teacher, that person that taught you, that individual. You don't get no credit for that, man. You don't get no credit for that at all. You don't get no credit for putting out fires that you started, and and you don't get no credit for snitching when you agreed to be a part of these streets. So, man, I'm gonna jump into some of the comments in the comment section before we jump into this. Camo Monk said, "Don't you got to be retired for 5 full seasons before you even consider?" Um, yeah, as a player, I think I, I think as a coach, it
I
might
don't think I
be.
don't think it's the same criteria for
I don't think it's the
coaches
same criteria as a coach. Yeah.
yeah, or front
Um,
office or front office. Like
Danny Mullen,
exec.
what's up, Cuz? Danny Mullen said, "Was it a snub or, in the words of Malcolm X, the chickens have come to roost?" Hey, man. Hey, Marcus, you used to say if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Snitching is still getting caught. That's facts. That's facts. Um, Shout out to Melissa. Melissa said, "I'm gonna need the same energy." Then she said T.O. and Eli immediately come to mind. Facts, facts, and we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that as well as some other people. Again, this is D Stanfield, the professional, joined by Marcus the Alphabets. So I want to give y'all a little bit of background as to why the conversation got started. We started having a conversation around the Bill Belichick, the Bill Belichick disrespect and the snub, and immediately, like we said, Terrell Owens comes to mind, a person who was, I would say, the same level on the same level as far as the disrespect was concerned. Eli Manning came to mind. I don't. The problem with the Eli Manning conversation, I think that we had is it's highly debatable about the Eli Manning piece because the numbers don't necessarily support the argument. However, when you get into what you view as a criteria, then we begin to have a different conversation. And I specifically point out the criteria portion because where we got into the argument about this entire Hall of Fame criteria and conversation is very, very interesting, very, very intriguing. And I'll jump into that. But before we get into that, Marcus, I'm gonna pass the microphone to you and ask you, how did you feel about the whole Bill Belichick snub as it pertains to both his peers on the coaching side and NFL peers on the player side?
I look. I think he dominated so much. I think there's some people out there that just hate him. Uh, they hate him, and he's a very abrasive. He's a very abrasive person. He's got this old man philosophy. He kind of, we've talked about, endearing yourself to the media. You gotta endear yourself to the media, but on the field, I just think it's 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a coach, 2 as an assistant. He comes up under the Bill Parcells tree. Some of the success that he had with the Cleveland Browns, he won a game with the Cleveland Browns as their coach before they took off and went to Baltimore. But I just don't see when I think of Hall of Fame, I think of, can you tell the story, the 105 year? Can you tell the 105 year history of the NFL without this person? How do you explain this? How do you explain the NFL? If I'm talking about the NFL just to somebody who doesn't follow the NFL, and it's like, how do you explain this game to them? And when you exclude somebody who is the winningest coach, who's number 3 all time in wins, the only 2 people that he's behind is George Halas and Don Shula. That's it, as far as wins.
That's
Okay,
it.
so that's it. And look, we have to
And one
take the
and one of those people only has one Super Bowl, and he's in first ballot.
yeah. So all of the Super Bowls he won is because of cheating. And then when I look at that, and I talked about it a little bit this morning on Coffee Talk, if we're going to start doing that, then when Sean Payton comes up, Bounty Gate, are we gonna get him for that? Tom Brady was his quarterback. Deflate Gate, does he have to wait a year? So we have to start doing this. What we're looking for is consistency here. Um, and I think the other thing that we have to really talk about is, what are your criterias? Is it numbers? Is it championships? Is it Pro Bowls? Is it all pros? Is it what is your, because not everybody has, obviously everybody doesn't have the same accomplishment. So what are we looking at when we're like, this guy should be a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer? I think that's where the conversation needs to start at. Okay, what are we looking for here? What are the criteria? What is the standard?
I think that what you said is interesting. In terms of, so you brought up a couple names. You brought up Tom Brady. You brought up Sean Payton. We've already discussed the Eli Mannings and the Terrell Owens of the world. And like I said to you the other night, I think that the committee looks at those names, the Tom Brady's of the world, the Sean Paytons of the world, and there's a couple variables that they can deflect off with regard to their voting criteria. Number one, with the Sean Payton thing, you could try to point to Sean Payton, but Sean Payton has the ability to deflect to Greg Williams. Every time you see an interview about Bountygate, you hear about Greg Williams being the one that was incentivizing those hits, that was incentivizing those actions. And so Sean Payton has a scapegoat. When you talk about Tom Brady can scapegoat the Bill Belichick that we're talking about right now.
Okay.
He can always scapegoat that piece. And then at the end of the day, Tom Brady, you could call it cheating, but deflating a ball, I mean, how much of a competitive edge is that really giving you when you play in the NFL where everybody is quote unquote supposed to be elite, which I think they are, but I mean, some things are highly debatable. So when you think about those things and those scapegoats, and then you get back to the Bill Belichick conversation, the Terrell Owens conversation, those individuals don't necessarily have a scapegoat. And when you combine the lack of a scapegoat in those areas with the moniker that goes along with the Bill Belichicks of the world, the cheating moniker, and you couple that with his, and you kind of touched on this, but I'll go even further, his tumultuous relationship with the media, knowing that they are the primary catalyst of whether or not you get into the Hall of Fame. Because let's be clear, not everybody in the media that has a vote is a former player, and so you lose a lot of credibility with the voting, with the people that vote you in. I'll say because of their heavy fault-based humanity. And the reason I say that is because, and we talked about it on the show the other night. As much as we might not want to admit it, media members are emotional. And I said this in the chat the other night. Media members may be more emotional than comedians. And the reason I say that is because they get to hide behind their pen with regard to their emotions. They get to write articles that they claim to be unbiased, but in a lot of times it's proven that they're not. And then in forums like this, they get to vote anonymously, so nobody has the opportunity to hold them accountable. So for those things and those things alone, it's kind of like you can't just go to work. You got to play the game the entire time. And does that warrant a person like Bill Belichick not being allowed into the Hall of Fame? I would say no, absolutely not. It doesn't warrant you snubbing a guy like Bill Belichick. That's what I'm saying in my logistical mind. But in my heart of hearts, as a TO fan, I want to say F Bill Belichick. Because if you did that to my man TO,
Yeah. Yeah.
anybody can get it.
Yeah.
Anybody
What
can
about
get
a
it.
guy? What about a guy like Marshawn Lynch? We talk about snubbing the media. You know, look, I'm just here so I don't get fined. You know, and you see him. You know, part of the part of being the player is not just your on the field play; it's also your public relations skills. You're a involuntary ambassador for the game. Also, off the field, you got to, it's a requirement. These coaches, you have to talk to the media. You know, we see like right after halftime or right before halftime, when the coach is walking off the field, or he's walking, or after halftime, they're walking back onto the field. Hey, what do you, oh, we got to do this, at halftime. You can't just walk past them and shun them and not say anything. You got to give, but we also have to understand every coach isn't Mike Tomlin with the sound bites on, for everything, which, by the way, we'll miss that with him, however long he's out. So we have to understand everybody's not the same. I know a lot of people just don't like Belichick, but I just think he's going to get in. We agree he is going to get in. Can we at least we can agree to that? He will be in.
He
I
will
think,
be.
but I think people wear it as a badge of honor. First ballot. It's just something about first ballot. It's kind of like undisputed. It's like borderline Hall of Famer. First ballot, like, yeah, I belong here. So I agree with you with the whole TO thing. It's gonna be interesting what happens with Marshawn Lynch when he comes up. He was very infamous or famous for not wanting to speak to the media. So these are things here we're kind of getting the we're we're kind of getting it a little bit ahead of time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm gonna read some of the comments in a second. I would agree with that 100%. What I would also say is Marshawn Lynch. When we talk about Marshawn Lynch, we talk about somebody who has also repaired his relationship with the media. He took the Randy Moss. He took the Randy Moss route. For a while, we didn't know if Randy Moss was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because of his relationship with the media, despite everything that he's been able to accomplish. But when you look at it, when you look at his tenure in the NFL, you look at the fact that he quitted on the Oakland Raiders. You look at his tumultuous relationship with the media. You look at his lackluster performance in San Francisco, and you thought to yourself, well, he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was easily
Numbers
easily
wise,
one of the
number wise.
greatest. Yeah, you look at the numbers and you look at his impact on the game, and you say he's easily one of the greatest players, if not the greatest wide receiver. Because some people feel like he's the greatest wide receiver to ever play the game, but he doesn't have a Super Bowl. He quit on a team. His
Moon the
tenure leaving
camera.
Minnesota was his tenure leaving Minnesota was terrible. His tenure leaving New England was it left a lot to be desired, and then his tenure in San Francisco was heavily tarnished. So when you couple those things as a part of the conversation, it would have been easy for you to say, okay, well, he got to wait a year, or he got to wait 2 years, because there's substantiating information on and off the field that pointed to that being the case. But then he went out of his way to become a part of the media, to repair his relationship with the media, and then he gets rewarded for it. But when we talk about the criteria for whether a person should be a part of the Hall of Fame, especially as it pertains to first ballot, ideally you would want your performance to be the only thing that speaks for you in that voting room.
No doubt
But that
about it.
hasn't.
And yeah, no doubt about it. Here's another name to throw out there. And look, he's coming up on it too. I know I keep throwing these names out here, but I think this needs to be said. If we're looking at TO like this, and we're looking at Belichick like this, and we're talking just the numbers, one of the winningest coaches, most Super Bowls for a coach in history, third all time in wins. TO, I think he's like top two or top three as far as receptions, and he's a he didn't get in on first. What do we do with Antonio Brown? What do we do with Antonio? That could be a whole show into itself. But I'm saying though, we have the we got to start talking about this, because the thing about how long has Antonio Brown been out? 3-4 years. He should be coming up in here in the next
Out
during
of
his
what?
time.
Out of the NFL or out of jail?
Well, I think he's in jail. I'm talking about just strictly on the field. I don't think since he left out when he walked off the field. How long ago was that when he walked off the field? When he just walked off the field? That's like 4 years ago. I mean, he's coming up.
Yeah, it's four
He's
years ago
coming
because
up.
Tom Brady's eligible next year, right?
Yeah. So that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
so that's 4 years ago. Yeah.
What do we do with Antonio Brown? Because if we're just saying numbers wise, all pros, he checks every box. All pros, Pro Bowls, numbers. He's got a ring with the Bucks. first team All Pros. He has everything. He has everything. Some guys, okay, Dan Marino, he doesn't have any rings, and this guy, he doesn't have first team All Pros. He's got everything, and was generally regarded. Where do we have Antonio Brown at for as far as receivers? In his absolute the height of his powers, a top three wide receiver, and maybe not two or three. That's where we had him at, and we got to start having this conversation because we're coming. The time is coming where we're coming up on this, where this got to be discussed.
Yeah, the Antonio Brown conversation to me is a lot like the Terrell Owens conversation, with the exception to this. Terrell Owens was never an issue off the field.
Legally,
He's
yeah,
never been
legally,
in. He's never
legally.
been in any trouble. What's going on, Dennis? He's never been in any trouble. He's never. I mean, you can call him a cancer all you want. Terrell Owens' teammates have never said anything bad about him, not once. So the media has gone out of their way to try to destroy his career, but I mean, you've never heard of him sending video footage from the locker room during halftime, during
DV.
domestic violence, skeeting on his girl's back. I mean, you've never heard any of that stuff.
Photoshopping your photoshopping your quarterback's wife with you in bed with yourself.
Jesus Christ! If Antonio Brown doesn't get in, and again, I am not a proponent of anything other than your performance on the field being what speaks for you and behind those voter doors. But if he doesn't get in,
Will there be outrage? Any outrage? Will we have any outrage for that?
I don't think that there will be the uproar that there was with the T.O. situation, or with the Bill Belichick situation, or even as far as to say like what's going on right now with the Eli Manning situation. I personally feel like Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers will wind up in the same scenario, but we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that. Let me read some of these comments, man. Shout out to Dennis Holmes for joining us, man. Camel Monk, he posted the criteria for being able to be voted. It says for players, coaches, and contributors, front office execs, you must be retired from the NFL. You must be inactive for 5 full seasons. Okay, so inactive, he's been inactive for 5 full seasons. Not retired, but he's been inactive for 5 full seasons. Then you become eligible. That's the standard rule. So if he would have accepted a head coaching job this year, then he would have no longer been eligible.
He would have been reset, like Phillip Rivers. Yeah. Phillip Rivers is reset now. Yeah, to 2031.
Then there's the exception everyone is misusing. The Hall of Fame can waive the waiting period. Extraordinary circumstances, usually age, health, or death, or someone who's been out of the league so long the wait makes no sense. Yeah. I mean, the Hall of Fame is the NFL's. That's the NFL's. I guess they reserve the right to create any waiver that they see fit. Yeah, I'll leave that where it is. Melissa said. So Dennis said top 10 all time. He was referring to Antonio Brown.
No doubt. No doubt.
Melissa says, I don't know if it's just me, but those who did everything clean, no trouble with the law, no DUIs, no drugs, no beating their wives, girlfriends. It's a slap in the face when someone who was a literal piece of shit and couldn't keep their nose clean gets in, no questions asked, just disrespectful.
Well, if
Melissa,
you're doing that, yeah.
yeah,
If
Melissa,
you're doing that,
who you who that that was that was that was very detailed. Who we talking about?
Lawrence Taylor, Lawrence Taylor, Lawrence Taylor, Lawrence Taylor, Lawrence
I,
Taylor.
call me an overly anxious Bills fan. I thought she was talking about OJ, but I get
Okay. Well, the thing with OJ was OJ. Look, this was before OJ didn't get into that trouble till he was retired. He was the Avis rental car man. Remember him running through the airport? This is OJ actually was squeaky clean until he retired. You know, he's on the Naked Gun movies and doing the Avis commercials and all of that good stuff. Now that lends to something else. Should you be taken out of the Hall of Fame after your playing career if you do something to kind of like disgrace the NFL?
how long is
OJ was
when was Bill Belichick's last year coaching the Patriots? Was it 2021, 2022?
I want to say he had Mac Jones for a year,
Yeah,
so that's what 22. I think that's 22.
yeah, I
But
think so.
but see, this is for the next. This is for the next Hall of Fame, right? Because they already got the people that are going to be in for the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame game is the first game that they play for the new season. So when the 2026 season starts, that'll be the Hall of Fame game in
Yeah,
Canton, Ohio.
so 2022. That's still only 4 years. So Camo got a point. If I, they may have made an exception here. I'm not sure exactly how it
Yeah,
goes, but shout out to you, Camo, for pointing that out.
yeah.
Um, they say he left January. Danny said he left January 2024, which is when you say left, meaning he was outside of coaching contention, or or like he was fired in January 2024.
Because I'm trying to think. Let's okay. So this was Vrabel's first year.
Right.
This was Vrabel's first year. So and then Jared Mayo only
Jared
coached one
Mayo.
year. He was only there for 1 year. So he's only been
So that makes
technically
yeah.
out of the league for 2 years, right? So yeah, 2024. That sounds about right, right?
Okay. Okay.
January 2024. Yeah, January.
It would be so he'd be eligible as of the end of the 2023 season. The 2023-2024 season. So you start his clock in 2024, 2025, and this is 2026. So yeah, they clearly made an exception for Belichick. Um, maybe they thought he was out the league as soon as Tom Brady left. Maybe his relevance made them forget that he was still in the league coaching.
Pretty much.
All right, man. So
He was
so
still in
so
the league. Was he?
was he?
Was he really? Was he really?
I don't know.
Didn't he have Cam Newton? Didn't he have Cam Newton for a little bit? He had Cam Newton for when Cam Newton came
He
back,
did.
right?
He did.
And
He,
Cam Newton got beat out by Mac Jones.
hey man, is Cam Newton a Hall of Famer? You know what? Let's don't answer that.
Oh
Don't answer that.
man, dude, you about to start a whole nother show, man. You about to start a
Don't answer that.
whole nother show.
Don't answer that. Danny Mullen said, as a Bills fan, we only noticed him. We only noticed when Tom left. That's for sure. That's a fact. See, this is why you need to be doing lives again. Melissa, stop. Y'all not about to get me to do this. I'm not answering those questions tonight. That being said, so we want to move into this conversation because this is where the conversation gets sketchy.
Murky, yeah, a little bit murky.
So based on this conversation, we want to have a conversation around several individuals that we might believe or not believe. We had a very interesting debate as to who belongs in the Hall of Fame, and the argument I'll go ahead and say the argument revolved around whether or not Chad Johnson, aka Chad Ochocinco, belongs in the Hall of Fame. I am of the mindset, personally, that Chad gets in without question. Um, Marcus is of the mindset that that's not necessarily the case, and Marcus is, and a lot of people feel this way. If you got to ask a question about whether a person is a Hall of Famer, they shouldn't be in. But for me as a person who played receiver, not at the highest level, but I played receiver. That was my position all the way up until college. Um, and watching him dominate the AFC, I mean, like tear the AFC apart. For me, it's been no question. But there were some things that happened over the last 2 years that, for me, immediately put it over the top because I can understand how people could say, well, you can't put him in if you don't put such and such in. You can't put him in if you don't put such and such in. And I'm cool. I was cool with that until last year, and we'll get into that. But before we get into that, let's have a conversation around. Let's have a conversation around what is a Hall of Famer. Marcus, what is your idea on what a Hall of Famer is, man?
Well, like you just said, until last year, when you saw some of this nonsense of buffoonery going on, my criteria, my personal criteria, and I know everybody's got their own, their standard. Pro Bowls, not so much Pro Bowls no more. I think the Pro Bowl has become somewhat of a joke. Okay, Shador Sanders made the Pro Bowl, and Travis Kelsey this year. So the Pro Bowl is let's not give the Pro Bowl as much props as it used to be. It used to be great, not so much anymore. And like you said, I think that all the Pro Bowl, the seriousness of the Pro Bowl kind of ended when Sean Taylor nearly killed a kicker. But anyways, um, Pro Bowls, uh, all pros, individual awards, defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, MVPs. And I put those all in the same category. MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year. Stats, championships. So for instance, like a guy like Dan Marino, no championships, but when he left, he was an all-time passer. Okay. So for me, with that, he did everything but win a championship. Okay. So everybody's not going to win a championship. So Pro Bowls, not so much anymore, but used to. Pro Bowls, all pros, first team or second team, all pros. Individual award, MVP, i.e., MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, stats, championships. That's my criteria.
Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. My criteria personally, before last year, was this: rings were supplementary, so it wasn't a primary catalyst. It's especially as a receiver because you don't have any control over most of the time you don't have any control over whether you get the ball or not, and you dang sure don't have a whole lot of control as to whether you contribute to your team's success. Especially if your quarterback play is lackluster, i.e., DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Brown. Shout out to Dennis Holmes. Uh, so Super Bowls are cool. My criteria was statistical analysis, where you sit statistically, your level of dominance as it pertains to the NFL, your conference, and your division. Teams, the opposing team's necessity in preparing for you, how you showed up in the playoffs, how you showed up in clutch games, and and where you stood amongst the elite peers in your class.
Okay.
That was my criteria, and then and I'm gonna get to this last part, but and then I said to myself last year, I listened to Nick Wright. So I'm an engineer and a project manager at heart. So my mentally, I always try to make anything that I'm trying to analyze. I always try to make it quantifiable to where we can assign some metrics to it. And so I came up with an algorithm last year. I watched Nick Wright point to an algorithm as to whether a person should win MVP, and I said I can do this with the Hall of Fame. And so I came up with an algorithm, um, and I said, okay, we need to assign some points to all pro selections. Number one, we need to assign points to leaders of the conference in terms of where you are statistically, leads the NFL where you are statistically, uh, any streaks that you hold where you lead statistically, and then lastly, and this came up as of last year, and you pointed to this. You opened up this door. What is your impact on the game? Now, a lot of people say, well, impact on the game shouldn't have a large influence as it pertains to players because you can just go off of what their statistics say. And I was fine with that until last year. And then we had Sterling Sharp get in. And as a
And
person
Terrell Davis.
who
And Terrell Davis.
and Terrell Davis. And as a person who followed the Bears growing up, been a long time Bears enthusiast,
The upstairs.
having to watch Sterling Sharp destroy the Bears and the other teams for the very small amount of time, there was no doubt in my mind that he should have been a Hall of Famer. No doubt, it's no doubt in my mind, but I could understand from a longevity standpoint statistically why his numbers didn't measure up. He was robbed of maybe a good 5, 6 more years in the league because of an injury. Same thing with Bo Jackson, right?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
But when you
No
throw
doubt.
that into the equation, and
Hypothetical.
you utilize the term impact, how a person changed the game, and then you say things like, can you tell us the story of the NFL without this person? You can't tell no story about the NFL during the late '90s, early 2000s without Chad Johnson. You're talking about a person who got 2 first team All Pro selections, led the conference, had a streak of leading the conference in receiving 5 out of 6 years. And shout out to TJ Houshmandzadeh, even though he hated on my Bills. He pointed out the one year he didn't lead the AFC, he did. So he's got one of the longest streaks of 1,000-yard seasons of any wide receiver. He is crafted as one of the most elite footwork receivers in the NFL. People still make films based off of his route running and his footwork. And when you talk about the impact on the NFL, he's a walking soundbite.
That's true.
And you can take this same exact argument that I just put forward and apply it to
Okay.
Marshawn Lynch and others like him, that Michael Vick, where you might not want to put them in that conversation statistically, but there is no conversation for entire eras of time without these individuals.
If we're just talking about impact and how and see what it sounds like you're saying somewhat. Okay, and maybe I'm taking this the wrong way. Popularity. So if we're gonna do that,
No,
well,
popularity. No. Popularity is based on is what the Pro Bowl is based on right now.
okay,
What I'm saying is that person's production on the field
mhm,
and their influence
okay,
during a specific period of time made them
that
in many instances larger than the game.
okay. So
Cam
okay, so
Newton,
that
Michael Vick, Chad
but,
Ochocinco, and maybe you can't apply the era of time statistically with Cam Newton. Maybe you can't apply an era of time with Michael Vick. Marshawn Lynch and Chad Ochocinco, they dominated their position for
so
for 5 6 years.
so did Michael Vick, we can use the argument until he went to jail. And look, I don't want to call him like a Ali. He was robbed, of a self-inflicted wound. Okay, self-inflicted wound. He was robbed of some of his prime. We cannot say Michael Vick with his running ability. Michael Vick, look, there's three guys in the history of the NFL quarterbacks that have had 1,000-yard rushing system seasons. Michael Vick, he was the first one to ever do it, quarterback to run for 1,000 yards. Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields. Lamar Jackson's done it twice. So if we're going to start doing that, well, he did. He dominated. We could. I don't think it's a stretch to say. I don't think it's a stretch to say uh, Michael Vick's the greatest running quarterback that's ever lived. There are some people that will give you that argument. So you say the domination of Chad Ochocinco. Okay, well, what about the domination? They used to call it the Michael Vick experience. They made a damn roller coaster about Michael Vick. He was like one of the first people to have a signature football cleat. They made him his own football cleat. So we talk about Michael Jordan's impact, on the basketball court, but also fashion and pop culture and things like that. That's Michael Vick. I'm not putting you in the Hall of Fame just because you're a pop culture phenom. And that's what Chad Ochocinco was. To me, Chad Ochocinco was a wannabe To. That when I look at Chad Ochocinco, I see a wannabe To. The gold jacket, and some of the antics and stuff. He was very entertaining. But when you look at overall his stats, it's not like he played with bums. He played with TJ Houshmandzadeh. He played with Carson Palmer. He played with some good players over there, and he didn't get it done.
Wait. When you say he didn't get it done, what are you referring to? You talking about the playoffs?
If you're that guy,
Hold up,
I
hold up.
saw.
Define getting it done
Okay,
now we got
okay,
now we about to get into that shoot 'em out, drag 'em out conversation.
okay. Yeah. What what did he do in the playoffs?
Average 43 yards a game.
Okay, okay.
Who was his
Big
quarterback?
players, man. Big
Who was his
player.
quarter?
Who was
Who was his
who
quarterback?
was Randy? Who was Randy Moss's quarterback?
Hold up.
His first quarterback was
We not
Dante
talking about Randy
Culbepper.
Moss. We not talking about
Okay,
Randy Moss.
okay,
We not talking. Matter of fact, we not talking about the Big Five, and we talked about that.
okay,
Jerry Rice, Randy
okay,
Moss, T.O., Larry
okay.
Fitzgerald. We
Who
not
was
talking about
Andre
that.
Johnson's quarterback? Who was Andre Johnson's quarterback?
Where did Andre Johnson get in the playoffs?
Nowhere.
All right then. So don't even bring him
Okay.
up.
Okay. Well, we said 43 yards a game. That's the same difference,
It is
right?
not. It is not because when you look through the course of history, Chad Ochocinco has been in the playoffs twice. His quarterback
Okay.
in those two games was an
Okay.
injured Carson Palmer who got injured on the first game, and John Kitna played the rest of the game.
Okay. And
And it,
and Andre Johnson played with Matt Schaub. And Andre
and
Johnson played with Matt Schaub.
went nowhere.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So it's the same
But is
thing. No
RJ Johnson a
quarterback.
Hall of Famer?
Yes.
All right then. So what are we talking about?
Put his numbers up to Chad's. Let's pull up the numbers. Let's put up the Johnsons. The Johnson versus Johnson. Let's pull up the numbers. Let's pull up
We
the
can pull up.
numbers.
We can pull up the numbers.
Andre
That's
Johnson, Chad Johnson. Let's pull up their numbers.
we can
There
pull up
is
the numbers.
nobody out there that would take Chad Johnson over Andre Johnson.
You're
He's
smoking.
not even
You're
the
sm-
best. He's not even the. He's not even the best. He's not even. But how about this? Chad Johnson ain't even the best receiver with the last name of Johnson. Because I'd take Calvin Johnson and Andre Johnson over him. How about that?
You gonna take 9-year broke back Calvin Johnson
Hey,
over Chad?
Calvin
First of all,
Johnson was a.
First of all, Chad's last name ain't Johnson. It's Ocho Cinco.
Okay,
It's 8-5. Let's
no,
put some
no.
respect on that man's
Well,
name.
that's well. Just for if we're gonna start, if we're gonna be technical about it, 85 ain't Ocho Cinco. It's Ochente y Cinco. So yeah, his last name should be just Cinco. Okay, Chad
What?
Ocho Cinco's Ocho Ochente y Cinco. Okay, so that ain't even 85. Chad Johnson ain't even the best wide receiver with the last name of Johnson. He's just not.
He's the best wide receiver with the last name Johnson.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Does Calvin
No, he's
Johnson
not.
does Calvin Johnson has five? Does Calvin Johnson have five? Does Calvin Johnson have 5 1,000-yard seasons? Period.
Does Chad
No.
Ocho
Just start
Cinco?
right there. Start
No,
right there. Does Calvin
no,
Johnson
no,
have 5 1,000
no,
yard seasons?
no.
Did he
Does Chad
lead?
Ocho Cinco?
Did he lead his conference? Did he lead his conference in receiving?
Yeah, he had the single season receiving record. The single
And what
season, he
did
had like 1,900 yards. He had like 1,900
and
yards
did
in the
they make
season.
the playoffs that year?
Okay, I just said. I'm saying you just said as a wide receiver. I'm using your own argument against you. You said wide receivers are highly dependent. Correct. This man with the Detroit Lions, who were coming off of a 0-16 season, 0-16. That's how they got Matthew Stafford. Okay, 0-16, and this man had 1,900 yards. I think until was it Cooper Cup? Until Cooper Cup did it, this man has the single season receiving record with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, one of the worst franchises in NFL history, and how about this? All the North American sports, next to maybe the Cleveland Browns, and this man had 1,900 yards. When they knew they were throwing him, what receiver did Calvin Johnson have on the other side of him, the caliber of T.J. Houshmandzadeh? Stop it. Tell me another receiver he had on the other side of him, the caliber of T.J. Houshmandzadeh and Chris Henry. And Chris Henry, let's not forget Chris Henry too. He's not even the best wide receiver with the
If
last name of Johnson.
you're taking this, you're taking this. I played on the other side of a receiver thing as if it's a blessing. It's not. Playing on the other side of a good receiver means that you have to share receptions. And for the guy that you played on the other side, for the guy that you played on the other side of, to go out of his way to say, I was good. That dude over there was different. You talking about and you talking
Okay.
about Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson played 12 years, 14,000 yards, 70 touchdowns. Chad Johnson played 10 years, 11,000 yards, so 3,000 yards less. If he played the same amount of time, he probably would have got the same numbers, and 67 touchdowns. So tell me what the difference is. Well, I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is half of the Andre Johnson played with Matt Schaub. Half the time, Chad Johnson had to play games before he turned into Ocho Cinco. He had to play without Carson Palmer because, as we've seen throughout the course of time, Cincinnati can't protect nobody. And yet and still, he destroyed the league.
Andre Johnson played for an expansion team. Let's not forget that the Houston Texans. How old are? Hang on. How old are the Houston Texans? They came into the league in 2002. They're an expansion team.
No.
They're an
The
expansion
Houston
team.
Texans. The Houston Texans are the reincarnated Houston Oilers. And
No, the
if there's
reincarnated Houston Oilers are the Tennessee Titans.
I don't
They
care
were
what
an
the Tennessee
expansion
Titans
team.
are. Listen to what I'm saying. I don't care what the Tennessee
Okay.
Titans claim to be. The Houston Texans are a reincarnation of the Houston Oilers. Why? Because it's Houston. It's very easy to get players to want to go there. Very easy. If it wasn't for the owner, they'd get more players. I think we all know that.
Well,
no need to delve into that. But you talking about Andre Johnson?
Yeah.
Let's look at Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson had 9 years, 11,000 yards, 83 touchdowns. Right?
Okay.
They got the same stats. The only place that Calvin Johnson wins is in touchdowns, and Calvin Johnson's a 6'6", 6'7" specimen, while Chad Johnson sits at a whopping 6'1", 6'1.5", 6'2", maybe. Like 40 pounds less.
Mm-hmm. And
did just as much, if not more.
I'm going to send you a picture. After this show's over, I'm going to send you a picture of Chad Johnson being covered, and they looked like they were gunners trying to cover him. They got two guys on him. I want you to find me a picture of somebody covering Chad Johnson like that. They literally were covering him like on a punt team where it's two guys playing press man coverage up against Calvin Johnson. Find me a picture like that. Find me a picture like that of Ocho Cinco. You won't find something like that.
You're still. That's like telling me, find me a picture of people trying to double team Michael Jordan like they double team LeBron James. There's a distinct difference in weight and size between the two. You're trying to people that try to compare Terrell Owens to Randy Moss. They get on my nerves. Like they get on my nerves because there's a distinct difference between the two in terms of physical makeup. So for a person that is lacking the athletic ability and the God-given attributes that these individuals had, to be able to replicate your level of production, why is this not celebrated? It's not celebrated because it doesn't look as good. But guess what? They're doing more with less. We celebrate Tom Brady for getting for winning 6 Super Bowls, half the time with people that worked with us at Publix and Kroger. But
Troy
then when we
Brown
turn
and David Patton.
but then we turn to people like that play the wide receiver position, and we don't celebrate them for doing less with more, for doing more with less. I'm sorry. That's preposterous to me. You look at Marshawn Lynch and you look at what he went through in Buffalo, and then he turns around and does what he did in Seattle. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. We should be Michael Vick. Yo, name another person on Michael Vick's team.
Algie Crumpler. That's about it. That's what we would look.
They did more with less, but they're not being celebrated. Name a receiver outside of Greg Olsen that deserves any type of notoriety on Cam Newton's team, especially during the Super Bowl year. What you gonna say, Muhsin Muhammad?
Did they have Steve Smith then?
No,
was Steve Smith on that team? Or he's already gone. He was already gone. He was with the Ravens, I think, right?
Yeah, Steve Smith was out of there year 3, Cam Newton's 3rd year. They had to get him out of there because of the internal feuds from what the media was reporting. I don't even know if it's true.
Yeah.
We should be celebrating these individuals for doing more with less, but we don't. We only want to celebrate the people where it looks good for the story. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Tom Brady, because he did do more with less. But there was never a season that Tom Brady walked into a Super Bowl without a top 5 defense. Never. Not once. Not once. And the Super Bowl that he walked in with ultra talent, he got diced up by Eli Manning. Holla at you. So what are we really talking about?
Steve Smith. He said Danny Mullen said
He
Steve
wasn't
Smith
there
was
for
there for the
he
Super
wasn't there
Bowl.
for the
I
Super
don't. I
Super
don't
Bowl
think
season
he.
was
I don't think.
2015. Steve Smith was on the Baltimore Ravens at that time.
Yeah, I think he was already on the Baltimore Ravens. Look,
2015
I,
was
look.
2015 was Cam Newton's MVP year. Muhsin Muhammad was the if I'm not mistaken, Muhsin Muhammad was the primary receiver. It was him and Greg Olson.
I'm just saying. Sometimes people they don't live up. Look, to me, the criteria for the Hall of Fame should be. And Deion Sanders, he talked about this a little bit. Should be so stringent for the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good, not the Hall of uh, everybody really liked him
Then
and
take
he was
Sterling
really
Sharp.
cool.
Then take Sterling
Oh,
Sharp and everybody
I'm
like him
with
out of the
you.
Hall of Fame.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But then
But
you look at
but
this here,
but you
jumping
can't
over
take
to
him
the
out because the same hypocrite that you just talked about, Deion Sanders,
yeah.
was one of the people lobbying for Sterling Sharp to get in because of how great he was in this small amount of time. You he went on national TV and spoke up for Sterling Sharp. So you can't that same hypocrite. And I shouldn't call Deion. Deion's not a hypocrite, but but he recognized in this moment that greatness is greatness regardless whether it was over a long period of time because longevity supposedly matters or whether it was a compressed period of time based off of the time that God allotted you. If it was an injury that took it away from you, if your quarterback play around you was lackluster but you still performed in spite of, and Chad Johnson and Andre Johnson and others alike, they fall within that criteria. I can't wait until DeAndre Hopkins comes up because I can look for the excuses they're gonna give. He didn't do it in the playoffs and he got PEDs on his records. Well, people still using cocaine as a PED excuse, but you let Lawrence Taylor in. You can't make this stuff up, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you to an extent, but let's jump over to the Eli Manning thing here. All right.
Well, let me read off some of the comments real quick because
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
the comments been going crazy. I'm gonna read off some of these
All right.
comments.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to go back as far as I can and just read through them as quickly as possible. So this is where I threw up the middle finger. Danny Mullen said, "Cuz getting his Six Sigma brain working." He talking about the algorithm that I put together. Terrell Davis definitely deserved it. Agreed. Short amount of time, but
Yeah,
performed.
like
I'm telling you,
I love TD, but guess what? Right after he left, every other Denver Bronco, the running back that they stuck up in there had 1,000 yards.
and they never sniffed the play. I mean, and they never sniffed the Super Bowl. Stop.
Well, yeah, because who was their quarterback? It wasn't
They didn't
John
sniff.
Elway no more.
They didn't sniff the Super Bowl because Terrell Davis was a lot more valuable than what they could quantify with running back numbers. That's why. Danny Mullen said, "It's like rap without Big. Only one album alive, but still considered the great." Dang, that's a hell of an analogy, Danny. That's yo. I could end the show right there. I could.
That's a mic drop moment right there. That's a mic drop. That's a mic dropper right there.
Yo,
A
for
mic
Danny
dropper
Mullen
right
for that
there.
analogy, man. Shout out to you, brother. That's a hell of an analogy right there. Melissa said Mike Vick was a damn beast. She also said you can't answer a yes or no question with a question. Danny posted the same stats that I mentioned about Andre Johnson and Chad Johnson. Ocho has been considered one of the best route runners ever, without question. Marcus Herring, yo, shout out to Marcus, man. What's going on, Marcus? I told you, you and Marcus need to
Great
do
name.
the Eminem show. Marcus and Marcus. Yeah, I'm telling you.
We talked about it a little bit. Great
Marcus
name, by
said,
the way. Great name, by the way. Great name.
Marcus said Chad Johnson probably had the best footwork in history. You can't tell a story without, oh my God. Melissa said, I don't want to ever hear Jordan and James in this sentence. Danny Mullen says Steve Smith, 100% facts. D, way more impressive doing more with less. That's a fact. Eddie Eddie Vigil, what's going on, Eddie? What's good? What's good?
Be
What's
here.
good?
Be here. Be
Uh,
here.
Marcus Heron also said Mike Vick could have been the GOAT. He chose not to do the film work partly because he was so gifted. He did. Marcus actually talked about this the other day. Mike Vick did choose not to do the film work part until he got to Andy Reid, and then you saw what could have been, which is crazy.
Yeah.
When you saw, I'm gonna take a pause for this just for a second.
Yeah.
Marcus, the Monday night game, Philadelphia against Washington after McNabb got hurt and Mike Vick got his first start. That pass to Deshaun Jackson, bro.
Had one of the great had one of the greatest arms. Again, not to compare him to Ali, but you self-inflicted wound. We were deprived of his absolute prime.
We were
But then
robbed.
again, we got to look at too. Would he have been the quarterback he was if he had stayed in Atlanta? You know what
No,
I'm saying?
it's
See what I'm
arguable that
saying?
he wouldn't. Yeah, it's arguable that
You
he
know,
wouldn't.
I say that all the time. Where you go matters. With Chris Carter, as great as Chris Carter was, he said that the best thing that ever happened to him was Buddy Ryan cutting his ass from Philadelphia and him going to Minnesota because he was into
Yep.
drugs and stuff. So it's we can do the hypothetical coulda, woulda, shoulda game all day long, but the bottom line is, that's where we are. That's what you did in your time.
Yep.
That's what you did in your time.
A few more comments. Marcus said Dion did that because Sterling was giving him the business. He absolutely was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sterling used to boy. Yo,
And he was a
Sterling was
big
To.
dude. He was a big dude. Yeah,
Sterling
yes,
was To before To, and he was
yeah.
faster.
How about this? He was a faster Shannon Sharp, but he played wide receiver. How about
But he played
that?
wide
Because
receiver.
he was built like
But he
that.
had the physique just like Shannon.
Just like Shannon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was a
Bro,
faster Shannon,
Sterling
but he
Sharp.
played wide receiver.
Again, I used to
They
follow the
played wide
Bears,
receiver.
and Sterling Sharp used to get out of his cuts so fast, bro.
Big,
He
fast,
was something else,
physical.
bro.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
something else, dog.
If he doesn't get hurt, we're talking about hypotheticals. We're talking. Everybody talks about Jerry Rice. If this man had played his entire career, there'd be a real debate up there with Shannon Sharp and Jerry Rice.
Facts, big facts. Shout out to everybody listening. Again, you listening to D Stand for the Professional. I'm accompanied by Marcus Best on tonight, man. We a little bit over an hour, so we going a little bit over our time. We said we were only going to do an hour long show. I'm gonna put it in Marcus's hands to talk about this Eli Manning thing, and then we gonna kind of wrap it up. So again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys, man. Again, this is only my third week back doing shows, man. So I
We're
appreciate
gonna
all
try
the
to,
love
we're
and
gonna try
support.
to, we're gonna try to do a little bit more. We're gonna try to do a little bit more when we can. We're gonna try to do a little bit. Man, appreciate everybody coming out, man. We've been talking about this. Trying to bring y'all good content and trying to come together. Sometimes schedules don't allow us to do certain things, but I love working with this guy. We've been chopping it up for years. And trying to get some projects and things together. But again, to you know the gist of my argument, the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good. We talked a little bit about the whole Belichick snub, air quotes. Eli Manning, a Hall of Famer, and he got. They said no. They said he's not a first ballot Hall of Fame. I'm gonna give you some numbers here a little bit. Look, we talked about our criteria, right? Pro
Hmm.
Bowls, All Pros, MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, championships. Eli Manning's number 11 all time. He's number 11 all time in passing yards. Two-time Super Bowl MVP. And for the people who say Tom Brady's the GOAT because of the 7 championships,
He's the
he
only
beat
one to
him
beat him.
twice head to head.
He's the
Yeah.
only one that he's the only one that really, well, no, because Nick Foles.
Well, Nick Foles. Nick Foles. The Philly special. Don't you forget about. Can we tell the 105-year history of the NFL without the Philly special?
Nick Foles, baby.
Can we? Can we tell the 105? Hey, can we tell the 105-year history of the NFL without the Philly special? Can we do that? Huh?
Yo, man, I would rather
He's
tell
number
it without
11
it.
all time.
I'd rather tell it out
He's number
without Nick
11
Foles,
all
bro.
time.
100%.
He's number 11. He's number 11 all time.
Let me ask you this:
57,023 yards.
has he
Yes.
ever led the league in passing?
No.
Does he have any first or second team All Pro selections?
No. No.
Does he have any MVPs?
Just his Super Bowl MVPs. He got two Super Bowl
He
MVPs.
led the league in interceptions, though, didn't he?
Two Super. Yes, he did.
The-
Yes, he did. Do you know? Hey, okay. Do you know who has the most? Who has the most interceptions all time when they retired from the NFL?
Was it
Brett Favre.
Was it
Brett,
Favre?
it's Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
It was
Brett
Brett Favre. It was Brett Favre.
Brett Favre was when he retired.
Drew Brees.
When Brett Favre retired, wasn't he number 2 in passing yards though?
Yes, he was. But I'm saying, look, you don't get credit for putting out fires. You started it. You don't get credit for. I have a bunch of touchdowns, and you got a bunch of interceptions and fumbles. So we got to take that into consideration too. If I set your house on fire, okay, and then I come over with a bucket of water, be like, "Hey, D, I got some water here. I'm gonna help you put out this fire." I'm not gonna. I'm not celebrating that. You got me in this predicament. So no. So is Eli? Does Eli? Look, once we start letting people into the Hall of Fame, and we start making these special concessions, this is when you get the Tony Romos in the Hall of Fame and the Phillip Rivers. That's what you start getting. The Michael Vicks, the Donovan McNabbs.
See,
That's what
see,
you
here's
start.
the,
That's
see,
what you
see,
start
see,
opening
see,
up. That's what
here's
you
the thing.
start opening up
But
with this.
here's the thing with them. Here's the thing with, and this is where I commend the NBA. Here's the thing about the Hall of Fame, right? For the NFL, how much weight are you afforded when it comes to Hall of Fame consideration for changing the game? Not influence on the game. You changed it. You changed the way your position is played, or you changed the entire way people perceive a position. And I say how much weight because you still got to combine this. You still got to have stats, right? You still got to have stats. You still got to have. You
Yeah.
still got to have accomplishments.
Yeah.
It's arguable Cam Newton changed the game of football. It's arguable Michael Vick changed the game of football. Lamar Jackson
Randall Cunningham.
Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are currently revolutionizing the game of football. Patrick Mahomes, bro. Let's not even leave it to just offense. Myles Garrett, bruh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The stuff that some of these guys are doing or have done, it's monumental in terms of how they changed the game or they revolutionized the game. Like, you cannot go to these games with a business as usual mindset. As a matter of fact, you pointed this out earlier. I forgot who you said it, but Coach said that we can't play. Defenses have evolved so much today that they limit the big plays because of their advanced schemes and coverage. So the things that you have to do as an offensive coordinator, like the fact that people like Shane Steichen and Andy Reid and Sean McVay are still able
Kyle
to perform.
Shanahan,
Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell, like the fact that they're able. I'll even shout my man out, Joe Brady. The fact that they're able to have an output of production that they are having. Shoot, Ben Johnson.
Oh,
The
Ben
fact that
Johnson.
the fact that they are able to have that output and production, given the combination of athleticism with the advanced schemes and coverages that the and methods of attack and engagement that they have in today's game, it should not go unnoticed. And people that thrive in this era, the Josh Allens of the world, the Lamar Jacksons of the world, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, I won't even be shady. Uh, yo, bruh, I watched I watched Sam Darnold this year, and he had it. He had a few off games. But when I tell you, we saw who we thought we drafted
Hell, last year in Minnesota. Last year in
last
Minnesota with
last
Kevin
year.
O'Connell. With
So
Kevin
last year,
O'Connell. You just mentioned Kevin
I'm
O'Connell.
cool with that. Last year, yeah, we found out he's a real quarterback. I'm cool with that. But people still had reservations because it's Jettas and Addison and Aaron Jones and you still got T.J. Hawkinson. You still
Steve
got all
Hawkinson.
these weapons. You still got all these weapons. So people still had their reservations. But then you come to a team that got rid of the DK Metcalf and said, JSN, you're gonna be our guy. We gonna go Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, we gonna go JSN, and we gonna rock the boat.
Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup. Yeah.
Cooper
Yeah.
Cup,
Yeah.
somebody who people thought was washed up, and bro, he tore the league apart.
Yeah.
He tore the league apart,
And might win a Super Bowl. The
and
first
might win a
quarterback for that
Super Bowl.
2018 draft.
Bro,
And might be the first
like I said,
quarterback for
I
that
won't even
2018
be a
draft.
hater, bro. Call it easy schedule if you want. Drake May lit the league up this year, bro. I'm a Buffalo Bills guy, but I'm not. I refuse to hate. Drake May lit the league up this year, bro. It's what they are doing, and I want to take special attention to point out the fact that the league is doing things to make sure that the offensive production is as entertaining as possible. So I don't want to take away from that because the
Yeah.
defense is playing at a
Yeah.
disadvantage every year, over and over again. But defensive minds are getting better, and for these offenses to still have this output and player, especially with players that we wanted to wash out of the league, coming in and tearing it up. Like you said, Malik Willis, Mac Jones, they made themselves a lot of money this year. Kyle Pitts, he made himself a lot of money this year. Yo, let's not ignore these. Let's not ignore these things. This it's remarkable, man.
No doubt.
It's
Drake
remarkable.
May, 4,394 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. 450 rushing yards.
Ooh, Danny just said, shoot, look at Jameis Winston. You talking about passing yards? Now
30 for
he's another
30.
one that
30 for, 30 for
he's
30.
another one that has to put out fires that he starts.
30 for 30. You don't get no credit for the
But you know
30
what? But you know
touchdowns.
what else, Marcus? You know what else?
What's that?
You ain't gonna be able to tell a story about the NFL without mentioning Jameis Winston. Walking
Yeah.
soundbite.
Yeah, some stories you don't want to. Some stories you don't want to be told, like you just said. And we're going to talk about lip singing with us. I don't want to talk about Millie Vanilli, but okay, we'll talk about Millie.
You guys are watching D Stanford, the professional, and I'm accompanied by my man Marcus the Alphabets, man, from the Alphabets football talk show, man, Coffee Talk, man. Listen, it's been a great evening, man. It's been a great evening. Let me read a few more of these comments before we call it a night, man. Danny, I'm kick Joe Lewis's ass. I'm gonna skip past that. Marcus Harris said, "Did Joe Namath deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? If that Super Bowl that he was a game manager got Namath and Eli gets." Yo,
You were talking about that the other day. You said that
I
the other
did.
day.
I
You
said that
said
the
that
other
the other
day.
day. You said that the other day.
I, I,
Marcus, he said that. He goes, well, you want
verbatim,
to get verbatim,
verbatim.
verbatim. He sold a lot of pantyhose though. Can't tell
You
the
know
story
what?
of him.
You know what? Joe Namath does belong in the Hall of Fame. You know why? Because he's the last. He's the last relevant Jets quarterback.
You know what his calling card was. What got him into the Hall of Fame? They were the first
I do.
AFL team to beat the NFL.
Yep.
When
That's.
we talk about his
But
historic,
bro.
you know.
But bro, that's impact. That ain't. Uh, anyway, AJ said, "Let's go Mendoza." He talking about your boy Mendoza. Danny Mullen said, "If you saying passenger," oh, we talked about the Jameis Winston comment. AJ said, "It's party time. He's different." Man, get out of here. Melissa said, "Melissa said, girl, you know it's true." Oh. Marcus said, "Great minds think alike, man." Again, y'all listening to D
Yeah,
Stanford,
for
the
sure.
professional man, accompanied by Marcus Alphabets from the Alphabets Football Talk Show, man. I want to say thank everybody again for tuning in, man. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate it, all the love and
Interaction.
support, man. Please make sure you like and share the shows. Make sure you, if you haven't already, go ahead and jump over to Marcus's page, Marcus the Alphabets, and join his page and follow him for any live shows. He does a live show on Friday nights, the Alphabets Football Talk Show, and then he also goes live most mornings
Every
for
morning,
Coffee Talk,
Monday through
man.
Thursday, Monday through Thursday.
Most mornings.
Every morning, Monday through Thursday, Monday through Thursday. I'm here.
Unless he's got too much peach crime, uh, which thanks to me he's down the bottle. That being said, man, I want to thank everybody again for tuning in, man. It's been a great show, Marcus. I'm gonna jump into final comments. What's your final comments for tonight, man?
Man, just appreciate everybody coming through. Um, I'll be back to next week, hopefully with my lovely co-host, and we'll try to do this when we can. We'll try to give y'all heads up. I don't want to make any promises as far as this. We got one more week of football. If y'all can, we want to. We're doing a meet and greet for the Super Bowl, April 23rd through the 25th. Alphabet's Football Show Rise Up Family Meet and Greet in Pittsburgh. If y'all can come out, we'd love to see y'all there, and we'll have a good time. We'll have a good time, man. Appreciate everybody who comes out, shows love and support. We're going to try to do more stuff. We'll keep y'all posted on that. All right, but we appreciate all the love and support that y'all give us, man. The comments and all that good stuff.
For sure, man. I don't have a set schedule when I'll be going live. I just pop in, so we'll figure it out. We're gonna figure out a rhythm as to how often I'm going. I'm really just still getting back in the groove of this, but I miss it. I do enjoy the engagement. Again, make sure you like and share these shows. Make sure you follow the entire Rise Up family, the entire Ignorant Podcast family, the entire Fresh Perspective family. Fresh Perspective will be coming back the next football season and maybe part of this NBA season. So gear up, we coming.
And talk of the town. And talk of the town.
With that being said, man, my final comments are Chad Ochocinco. You definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. First of all,
Hmm.
same goes for Cam Newton and Mike Vick. Same goes for DeAndre Hopkins. Um,
Chad Johnson, not
I,
even the best wide receiver named Johnson. Chad,
whatever.
Chad.
One thing I do want to point out, man, before I go is since we talking about people who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, I don't understand why the hell Torrey Holt is not in the Hall of Fame yet. They got to do something about this. Torrey Holt, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
I'll leave that where it is. I'll leave that right where it is, man. Shout out to Josh Allen. Shout out to the Buffalo Bills, man. Shout out to City Councilman Mookie Hawkins, man. Uh, you got immense support from me and the rest of our team, man. Uh, please, if you in Buffalo, man, please find out any initiatives that he's trying to push, and please support him as he goes through this. Um, It's a road, man, and I always remember, man, in the spirit of TODT, even though I'm not bringing it back, your local politics are much more
We just
important than
we
your
just
federal
don't know it
politics.
yet.
So
For
please
sure.
go out and
For
support
sure.
your, see, please go out and support your local politicians. Familiarize yourself with your police station, with your police officers and your firemen in your jurisdiction. You never know when those individuals might be needed, especially if ICE is rolling around your town.
No
And
doubt.
with that
Hey,
being
D, I
said,
got I got one more thing. I have forgot to say this. Shout out to my guy Bryce Cable, dude, for from the Seattle Seahawks, Clovis High School, Clovis, New Mexico. My guy from where I came from, Clovis High School, class of 2020. He's at the Super Bowl. Shout out to him, and shout out to Diego Pavia from wherever he
anyway,
goes
moving
in the
on.
draft.
Moving on. You ain't about to shout out Diego on my not on my watch. Uh, I would like to
Yeah.
shout out one special person, man. My mini me, my son Davis Lincoln Stanfield. His birthday was Tuesday, man. So I didn't get a chance to give him a happy birthday shout out yesterday. So happy birthday to my son, man. Much love, peace and blessings to you all, and in the spirit of my man Irving Hawkins, man. Much love. Everybody have a great night.